Welcome to my designer class. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. In today's tutorial, I would like to show you how I made this beautiful card using the Tea Together stamp set in DSP found in the annual catalog. I'm sorry I don't have the exact name of it, but it was for a tea set that was featured there. So to get started with, I do want to show you how I made this partial pleated skirt, and I think that really adds a nice touch to the card. So I used my stamping trimmer. You could use a scoreboard for a lot of this, but the stamping trimmer definitely does the job. And I did want to show you, I have a template. Those of you who've watched any of my fun fold card tutorials, I love using a template just so that I can get a better idea of what goes where and where to score, etc. I'm a very visual person, so I hope this helps. Okay, so bringing in my DSP. Now, if you have a top versus a bottom, you want to pay attention to that. This one, I kind of feel like this is more of it's this direction, but this one doesn't matter nearly as much as some of them would. This piece of cardstock is 2 3/4 by 7 3/4. And I'm going to start by scoring at 2 3/4. So, sorry about that. So it's pretty simple scoring, there's not a lot. Now I'm going to move up a 1/2 inch and score again. And now about a little over an inch, and I'm going to score at 4 3/4. And again, this is just 2 pleats, it's not a lot of pleating. I did do a full pleated card, and that was a lot of fun, but I'm kind of feeling like it didn't allow enough room for me to put a sentiment, and I will show that card at the end. I will try to remember to do that. Okay, so that's it for the scoring. The next part is we're going to mark with a pencil where I'm going to bring my template back in. So I need to mark 1 inch down, and you notice this side is like a square. You want to go on this side and go 1 inch down. I hope you'd like my Blue's Clues little ruler. Okay, so, and you can just go by the score line, but I will just mark it right there, and I'm going to cut off this part. So I will bring the stamping trimmer back in, and this time instead of using my scoring, I will use my blade. And this is pretty simple. You just line up in where the blade would be at the 2 points. So here we go, and you just got to always make sure you didn't shift somehow, and then you just cut. So that's pretty straightforward. That's the waist, and then we will start the folding, which is pretty straightforward as well and easy. I don't think we'll need the trimmer anymore. All right, so here we have it. I will bring back in my template just so you can see. We're going to start with the valley fold first. So what I like to do is make sure this is very delicate paper. So make sure you're getting it straight at your straight edge. And then this is a mountain fold. So we're going to go this direction. And then it's just basically every other one, valley versus mountain. And again, it's easy to get this crooked because this is pretty delicate paper. Okay, and then the final one is the mountain one, so I'm just going to do that by hand. You could definitely use your scoring tool, which I probably will once I get this completely underway. All right, so the next part is I'm going to somewhat secure it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of Snail between my pleats. I just need to get that started. Sometimes Snail needs a little start. Okay, and this won't be what really holds it together, but it kind of just gets it started. It'll just make it a little simpler. So there, we have our basic pleated accent here, which I think is really cool. All right, so the next part is we're going to be doing some using the embossing, doing some embossing. So I will bring in that, And we are using copper. I love copper. I think copper is really pretty. I'm just gonna add this just to make sure that I don't get any, stuff I don't want. All right, so here is our stamp of the teacup. So this is what I like to do, is go ahead and stamp onto cardstock that is the color pretty much that I want for these larger images, especially with this set. I think it's just much less coloring and it looks really cool. So if you want some color changes, I can do that. Oh, I forgot to use the embossing buddy. Must not forget the embossing buddy, right? That would be terrible. Okay, so just center and stamp. And now I'm gonna get this down yet. This is sort of hard to do on camera, but oh, I keep forgetting I added a spoon to mine now. But either way works. So there we have our, and I did remember this time to bring in a little paintbrush. So if you get anything, some stray embossing powder where you don't want it, you can definitely do that. So I will go ahead and heat my heat gun and get that started. I like to preheat it a little bit, otherwise it does tend to warp the paper more and it just doesn't come up too soon unless it is hot. I love embossing. This set is really, I think, really great for embossing. Gold is beautiful, silver, pretty much any color. I did a tutorial earlier with the teapot, making it into a mini card, so I will try to link to that. Just check that tutorial out. It's a mini gift card and card. It could be a tag and a card. All right, so so you can see, very easy. Then what you want to do is, if you have the framelits, and this is a celebration item, you would then run it through and it lines up very nicely. So, but guess what? I have already done that. I've already run it through the Big Shot, but I did want to show you the embossing, and because that's just so much fun. All right, so this is light Bermuda Bay, which is a different color, obviously, than the Coastal Cabana that I used. However, I think it looks still good enough and close enough that it really kind of does, it really works. So you can let me know in the comments if you agree with me. So all I do is just quickly color in some parts. I'm not going to do the main part. I'm just going to add a little bit of color so that it gives it more variation. You know, it would be a little boring if it were all just one color, but I really do love this Coastal Cabana. It's one of my favorite of the new colors. I think it's actually a return in color, but you know what I mean, when that was introduced. So I'm going to flip this to the point side, and for this part I'm just going to basically follow the saucer here. I'm not going to color the whole thing in, except for down here. It looks a little odd if I leave any bit there. So you can see, okay, now I'm just going to again follow along the line. All right, so that is all the coloring I will do for the teacup. Isn't that pretty? I think it's pretty. And this time, instead of doing the, I did rich razzleberry in my original card, I'm going to do, I colored in with the Calypso Coral, and I added Winka Stella. So Winka Stella is very pretty and fun to use. You just spread it like a little brush. I have my brush handy. Let's see where it's at. Oh yeah, but a lot of people, you just, basically you're just coloring it over it. It just goes on really easily. It's very forgiving. No problems with that. So I just want to make sure that stays down, and then we will start assembling our card. Oh yeah, the sentiment. Must not forget the sentiment. That was my whole thing. I wanted this card to include one. So here is my rich razzleberry, and the sentiment I'm going to be using is Happy Mother's Day. I don't need a ton of Happy Mother's Day, so tea together is also a great option. Love is a warm cup of tea, not tea together. I wish actually they did have that. No, that would have been cool. And then I used the layering oval framelits, and I was just going to show you which one. And I just centered it here like this and ran it through the big shot. And then for the scalloped edge, I'm looking for my scallop edge, I used rich razzleberry, and I thought that looked really nice. So this will layer together. But of course I did stamp this ahead of time, so I will show you the finished one. So here it is, and I have room here now to decorate. Now with my original one, I added the rosebuds, which was really pretty. But with this one, I thought, why not cut out some of the butterflies from the DSP and use that? So that's a little bit easier option, and I love showing actually several options. So that is one thing I would suggest maybe you think about doing. But the rosebuds are adorable. I definitely love them. So I'm just kind of centering this up. And now we will bring back, I wanted to talk about, I ran some of the Very Vanilla cardstock through Pinewood Planks Embossing Folder. And here it is. Now, the first thing I would like to do is go ahead and attach this. So I will use my liquid glue here. And there will be a little bit of an overlap, and I like to tuck it behind it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So just line this up, and I want to, okay, that's pretty good. So we definitely have some overlap here. So all I'm going to do is add a little glue here and tuck this back. And so I don't even have to worry about that little bit of a pencil mark that I have there by doing this. And then I will go ahead and fold this first, because this isn't as big, just so I have a nice, quick, easy score line there. I've really enjoyed playing with this stamp set tea together, and it's very nice that we could get the framelits for free during celebration with the $100 or more order. So that is, and then this is where it will go. But before we add the rest of this, we are now going to bring in the ribbon. And this ribbon is just gorgeous. It's a velvet ribbon, and it's of course with rich razzleberry. So I will just cut a piece about the length I need. Ooh. And then we will layer it up. I'm just going to use some Scotch tape, and here, we don't need that yet. I wanted to cover the seam, so basically, but I wanted to actually rest further down this way, and the reason is I want it to lay really well. Okay, so there, I've just taped it behind. Add one more piece to the other side, and then we can really start assembling this card. I think it's really pretty. I hope you agree. Okay. I've been seeing cards with the pleated, and I thought, what a fun idea. And that would definitely kind of go with the tea thing, you know. All right, so next I will go ahead and layer onto my matting, which is rich razzleberry. Surprise, surprise. I have a lot of rich razzleberry here, which is a beautiful color. Ooh, I had a little sticky glue stick to there. Hope I don't make a mess here on myself and get stuff. Okay, that You want to avoid getting too far up to the top. That's kind of pushing it right there, but I should be okay. Okay, so because it's wet glue, if you need to adjust a little, you can. And I think that looks pretty good. And next, I'm going to bring in our base. So here is the base, and you could also decorate the inside with maybe the rosebud. I think that would look really cool. So maybe we will still do that if we have enough time here. This actually, once you figure this card out, and if you create a template like I did, it's extremely simple. It's simply a couple of, you know, folds, scoring and folds. It's really not as complicated as you might first think. Okay, so now dimensionals. Gotta have dimensionals. This is a stamper's best friend to have pop-up things, in my opinion. I definitely am a big fan of it. All right. Just getting these backings off. And then I will add this. I'd like to just center it. There's not a lot of Calypso Coral in this version, but you do see a little bit here on the back side of this DSP, and that's the fun part about this fold, this pleating effect. Okay, so what I was saying is I cut out some butterflies from the DSP, and this one actually happened to be on the waist part. So that was kind of fun. But I also did cut some out just from, you know, one of the sheets. It's very simple to do, but I did want to point out that I backed it with the Very Vanilla because this cardstock is very delicate. And I will list in the description below the exact name of this DSP. I'm sorry, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there you have it. Isn't that cute? And now it will fit right here. And I will go ahead, pop that up on dimensionals too. I'm kind of like dimensional crazy. I'm sorry if that bugs anyone, but it just really adds a really lovely touch. I thought about adding pearls to this card, but I kind of thought, well, it has a lot already, so we don't want too much. Too much of a good thing is too much. Okay, so that feels a little crooked. Isn't that pretty? All right, so the last thing is I'm going to go ahead and get that rosebud because I think that would be adorable inside. And we will have this stamp here. And it says, "Our love covers through the years, sometimes through tears, the bond that stands the test of time, mother and daughter, hearts entwine." Isn't that pretty? Okay. So all of you who have a mother, this is a great card to maybe send this Mother's Day. So I'm trying to think, maybe, yeah, I guess I'll do both. So actually, I think what I'll do is do the stamp first, just so that if something occurs to me on the location, I just want to make sure that I got that well inked. You want to be delicate with how you stamp this, but you don't want it, you know, not. So I'll just add that like there. I think that's pretty. All right, so this is my card for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments below or email me at meonce3@gmail.com. I will also bring in my original card. And oh yeah, I forgot. I was going to show you the fully pleated card that I created using this technique. So I really thought it was pretty. It's just, it kind of felt like, I don't know, I wanted a sentiment still. So this is an alternative if you do want a little bit of pleating versus a full pleated card. Both are very nice, I think. So again, thanks again for watching and happy stamping.